Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time once again. It's time for that podcast heard, well, around a few places, by tens of listeners. It's time for the Department of Understanding Humans, the podcast. That's right, the podcast, featuring your ringmasters for the day, that stupendous, giggle-snorting gal, Friday herself, Rachel Wynn, and now her co-host actually has a name, that cranky clown you love to adore, Chris Meyer. And on with the show!
D.U.H, Department of Understanding Humans, yeah!
There we go. Yeah.
There we be.
There we be. Let's get
Here we are, once again, doing another podcast here. I just want to say, y'all destroyed my career. Y'all killing me, man. Y'all killing me.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Don't you get all R. Kelly on me this morning.
Y'all killing me.
Don't do it, man.
Y'all
God, did you
killing me.
see that shit? And, I mean, come on. How pro was she?
You know, I've never really been a Gayle King fan, but I got to give it to her for having composure.
Girl.
Just to sit there and kind of look at him like, okay, are you done? And the way she was, Robert. It was like a teacher trying to calm down a 5-year-old. Robert, do you want a cookie? Robert, let's have an interview. Robert, sit down now. Come on, Robert.
We're adulting here and we're doing an interview, so...
Don't cry, Robert. Don't cry.
Oh, look at it.
If anything that shows people, okay, Aaron Magruder, the creator of the Boondocks, said it very right. And yes, we're going to get some mad mail about this as soon as I say this. But not every black guy that goes to prison who is a celebrity you need to treat like Nelson Mandela. Okay? R. Kelly is not Nelson Mandela.
No, because Nelson Mandela didn't do this shit to people.
Right, exactly.
But if anything, here's the thing, and she even called him out on camera for this. She's like, you are playing the victim. And he's like, what?
She called him out on so much, it was really...
Because one of the first things a liar does is over-exaggerate their innocence.
Right, exactly.
Now, those of you who are perpetual liars and habitual liars and liars in general that are out there that are possibly listening to our podcast, there are so many other ways to tell when somebody's lying. It's not just that. But so you can't just listen to what we're saying and go, okay, I'll stop doing that.
Right.
Because his over-the-top reaction showed me he's guilty, and he's holy fuck guilty. Like, because the whole idea that he has women, that he doesn't, the whole idea that he views women less than him and that he uses that to abuse them was so evident in the way he was talking to Gayle. And the
how
way
he stood up and
he stood up over her. I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
And the reason this has all come about is there's a documentary of, life with R. Kelly or, what have you. And she even said that to him. Or he's like, they're lying. She goes, so 50 people interviewed, 50 people all have the same story, the same coinciding story. 50 people are lying. Did you notice as soon as she said that, he just started breaking out in a sweat?
Right. And then what is this? Look. What is this about multiple women living with him and the parents sold them to him?
Yeah, there's something crazy about it, like a cult. Like, he went to impoverished families, found their young girls and said, yeah, I'll make them a star. Here, I'm going to give you some money. And then they were, trapped in the closet, chained up in the bedroom. That kind of stuff going on. He is, listen, did he create music? Yes. Did he create music people liked? Yes. Is he something very dark and wrong? Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God. He needs
where he had, and you look at like some of the tunes that he's created,
trapped in the closet. Apparently that's going back to having, young women in the closet, or that the girl Aaliyah that he had underneath him who died at 17 in some sort of plane crash or something. Apparently there were stories where he was sleeping with her at 15.
Yeah, so
when your tour manager comes out and goes, yeah, we opened the bed and the tour bus and there he is, doing the deed with her.
That's just ew. Just ew. I mean, dude just needs to accept his fate and take what's coming because he's in a lot of trouble.
I still love the judge has thrown him in jail for not paying child support. And the reason, now I'm going off what has been posted on social media, but he made his bail from the first go round when he surrendered to police.
Right.
And his bail was set at something like $1 to $2 million.
Right.
He has child support that he hasn't paid of $160, and he tells the judge, I can't pay it. And the judge goes, wait a minute. Didn't you just come up with $1 million to $2 million to get out of bail? Yeah. And you ain't got $160,000? No, I don't buy it. Bam.
Oh my God.
The judge went, nah, sorry, I don't buy that excuse.
Oh, what an idiot. Oh my gosh. That is so freaking... Okay, so I do have to say, I'm starting to see some court cases that I'm kind of going, hey, look at you guys.
Yeah.
Kind of on the same tangent, there's two things that I want to pick off of this R. Kelly stuff. First of all, I have three. First of all, I totally forgot about R. Kelly until this stuff started coming up.
Forgot about it.
So if this is a ploy to get back in the public eye, win.
I could think of some better ways.
I know, but still, I mean, like Jussie Smollett, who just got fined 16 felony counts.
Indicted.
And
he goes, I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. I didn't do it. I'm not guilty. You have checks going to the dudes.
You are the guiltiest
two dudes came out and said,
I've ever met. Okay.
And they've come out and said, yeah, he paid us to do this.
So Jussie can go with R. Kelly, God bless you, and they can go hang out with the cause, who is finding jail, quote unquote, interesting.
Hello, Theos. Welcome, Theos. My name's Robert. No, bitch, your name is Theo. Now drink your Jello.
Then on top of all of that, and what made me think about it too was the child support comment, which I think is so skeezy of him. You're taking me away from my children. You're keeping me away from my children. He rants in his
he ranted
interview.
About that.
But yet he doesn't want to pay child support. What? You're keeping yourself away from your children, you perverted scuzzball. Give me a break. Okay, so then in other news regarding children, there's a court out west, Midwest, that has allowed a man to open an estate for a wrongful death lawsuit. You ready for this?
Okay.
Against an abortion clinic, his ex-girlfriend, and the pharmaceutical company involved in the day after pill. He found out his girlfriend was pregnant with their child after they broke up. I love this story. I love this story. He begged her to keep the child. He wanted the kid.
He wanted to raise it. Okay, I got that.
She went to it wasn't a Planned Parenthood, but it was like an alternative birth dealing. It's called something else. It has a very nice name, but basically what it was an abortion clinic. She goes, she gets the day after pill or whatever the pill is that they're going to give her to abort this fetus. And it was within a certain period of time, like it was early on in her pregnancy. He has gone to court and a judge has ruled in his favor to allow for the estate to be established in the name of his unborn child. And he is suing wrongful death and a judge is pushing it. It's happening.
Well, that's pretty big.
That is pretty big. And you know what that tells me is that there are legal people out there that do understand the value of life at conception. And that kind of goes back to this whole thing about abortion here lately. And I hate talking about these topics because I know they're so tender. But it's like you've got laws in place where if somebody kills a woman who is pregnant, that murderer gets charged for a double homicide. right? Because they're killing the woman and the unborn child. So there's a value of life legally there. Yet they are pushing for full-term abortions that actually allow a doctor to kill a baby upon birth. That's what was just passed in New York. All the way through, like, she could actually give birth to the child and the doctor can kill it on the table. And the reason it's not murder is because it's consensual from the mother. When it's not consensual from the mother, when it's a man who walks up and stabs her belly 5 times or whatever and kills her and the baby, that's considered homicide. That's murder. But when it's not infanticide. It's not infanticide when the mother consents to the termination of her pregnancy, even if the baby has drawn its first breath on the table. And I think that's sick. Then they're also putting into laws, or they're trying to put into laws, and I haven't found out whether or not this has been passed yet or not, but I did find out that they're actually writing this crap, where they're making it so that you can protect the doctor that's doing this stuff. So somebody can't go and sue the doctor for performing the abortion. Or I'm like, oh my God, okay. But they're also putting in, there was also a thing that I saw under, I believe it may have been under AOC's Green New Deal, and I'll have to verify this, or verify it for yourself. Just take what I'm saying and go Google it. But there's a thing that says that doctors can be held responsible for refusing to do it.
Okay.
What about the Hippocratic Oath?
Harm no
one. I mean, come on.
It's definitely a touchy subject.
That whole thing. Like, there's just, and I may be misquoting all of it, but I know that when I was reading some of the stuff, I'm like, what the hell? What the actual fuck? Seriously. Pardon my French, but what the? Really? People? Come on.
Yeah, you kind of go, what is going on here?
This is disgusting. You know who else wanted all this crap to go on back in the day when they were trying to take over the country? The Nazis. God.
Any similarities?
Just a little bit. And I saw a video this morning on, it was talking about the Congress this week. They were standing up and talking about the anti-Semitic comments that a congressperson had said on the floor. And there were 2 congressmen that took it to the floor and were like, we need to deal with this right now. This is the second time that we're having to have this conversation in 8 weeks, and it needs to be dealt with right now. Right. And so the people in Congress are starting to fight back against some of their own people because of the stuff that's going on. Then I saw at the end of that video, there was a group of kids, and they ranged from the age of like 8 and 10 to 16 and 18. And they went to visit their local congresswoman. And they were like, she comes out and she's an older congresswoman. I think she was in California. I'm not sure. But she walks out of her office and there's this group of people with their adults. There's parents there, and a handful of them are videotaping this thing, obviously, because that's how it made it on the video.
Right.
And she comes out and she's so polite and she's so sweet. And she's like, well, hi, what are you guys all doing here? How can I help you? And the kids are like, hi, we wanted to talk to you about the Green New Deal. And we want to make sure, since you represent us, these are kids. Since you represent us, we want to make sure that we ask you to vote yes for the Green New Deal. And then almost every single one of these kids regurgitated all of the media rhetoric bullshit that's been coming out about the Green New Deal and why it's such a great idea, right? And the congresswoman, kind, gentle, older, very wise, obviously. She's a Democrat, right? And she actually says to these kids, I really appreciate you coming up here, but the Green New Deal is not feasible. And we have created a new plan. And if you would like a copy of that, and she turns to her assistant and she goes, would you please go get a copy of that printed out? and get it together, and we're going to give each one of them a copy so they can read it, right? She's like, if you would read my plan and the plan that we're putting together, it's a lot smaller. It's better laid out. It was 4 pages. Right? She's like, it has more sustainability. It's feasible financially. And it's something that we can put into place, and we're going to present it. So I would like to share that with y'all. And these kids started snowflaking her and over talking her. And they were like, you need to do what we're asking you to do because we voted for you. You're here for us. And she's like, how old are you kids? And this one kid goes, well, I'm 16, so I haven't voted yet. But she voted. And the 18-year-old starts going, I know, the 18-year-old starts spitting out the AOC rhetoric. Right. They said that in 12 years, if we don't do this, and she used almost some of the exact terminology of aggressive, impressive plan, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm like, oh, my God. And they didn't. And the woman, again, she's like, I really appreciate your passion for this, but I've been doing this for about a quarter of a century, and I trust you. Trust me when I say I know what I'm doing.
Right. I have experience.
She's like, there's no money for the Green New Deal. We can't afford the Green New Deal. This is a Democrat congresswoman, right? We can't afford the Green New Deal. The kids tell her, we can't afford not to do the Green New Deal. We can afford the Green New Deal. There's money. There's money all over the government. What about the military? What about all the money that's going into the military? Blah, 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 blah. She goes, you are correct that there is money that is going into various things, but we have to make sure that when we put money in one department, that there's enough to fund another department. There's just not enough money to go around, and we can't just spread money like there's, and she was calm the entire time. And these kids were so doing what everybody has been hating that this generation is doing.
Right.
So with that, for those of you who are listening to our podcast, I have 2 bullet points. This was brought up on my LinkedIn profile by someone that I really hope we get on the podcast soon. And it was, be the last to speak.
Exactly.
Listen, right? Bullet point number 1, listen. Bullet point number 2, hold your opinions to yourself until everyone has spoken. To these kids who may never hear our podcast, but to other people who may know of people like this, first of all, the parents that were standing there, they really should have reined in their kids and taught them how to teach other people with respect. Treat other people with respect. They needed to teach these kids that. These kids came in a group of about 10 or 12 kids, and they rushed.
Did they have adults with them or no?
They did have adults with them. Those adults should have reined those kids in and were like, you guys, she's talking. Don't talk over her.
Let her talk, yeah.
You asked her a question, let her answer you. So I plead with society, anybody that's listening to this, share this with somebody and ask them to share it with somebody and ask them to share it with somebody. Be the last to speak. If you talk only to be heard, and if you talk never to actually listen, you are doing yourself and the people around you a disservice. If you have a question, ask the question and then shut the hell up and let the person answer it.
Right, exactly.
Don't share your opinions until everybody has shared theirs, because you will formulate your opinion better after the last person has spoken. And
it's not that hard.
It's not that hard. And I've put that in practice this week with my new job. And I'll tell you what, it made my job a whole hell of a lot easier.
Just letting somebody talk.
She's telling me what to do. My boss is telling me everything I need to do. And I'm like, okay. And I write down a question, and then I wait, and I listen, and I listen, and I write down a thought, and I wait, and I listen, and I listen. And then she goes, okay, do you have any questions? I said, no, you actually just answered all of them.
Right, exactly.
Trust the process. Eventually, and if somebody's a horrible communicator, I get it. You're gonna probably have to, get involved in a conversation with them, but give people a chance to speak. And that it just kills me. The oldest one there was 18, so the parents were there. And none of those parents stepped in and said, y'all, this is a congresswoman. Be a little bit more respectful. And I'm off my soapbox.
Well, we have some breaking news. Not to interrupt your story.
Oh no, my story is done.
But
what is the breaking news?
Your story is done. We're continuing on with our Mr. R. Kelly deal. He is being released from Cook County Jail after miraculously finding $161,000 that he said he did not have to pay child support.
Oh my God.
WGN News has just broken that story in Chicagoland. Fox 32 has broken that story as well from Chicago. But yes, he didn't have money, and then the judge was like, nope, screw you, you're going to jail. And now he's released because he found the $161,000. I
wonder where he found it. I wonder under whose pillow it was hiding.
I don't have the money. Really? All the royalties and millions of dollars that you have made off albums. I mean, you didn't kind of
money.
I believe I'm going to jail. You know, out of all the, I really hope he gets locked up for what he's done. So there's like 50 people that have come forward and said, hey, this stuff's happening. There's what the most damning was his tour manager saying, you know, on the bus, he was sleeping with 16 year old girls. He's a grown man. He's got not just young ladies, young girls. And that's when I quit. I said, man, this isn't right. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with it. He said, that was it. I'm done. Ex-wives, tour managers, people he sung, and then some of these young girls, he has used his influence and said, you'll do what I tell you to do, or I'll never give you a leg up in the business.
Oh, my God.
So that's what you're dealing with, with him.
I did a little Googling while you were talking as I was listening.
Go ahead.
He could face up to 70 years in prison if convicted. He's being charged with 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse. There also is news recently, as of February, that the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is involved in the investigation. But they didn't go into details as to why. I'm sure on some level.
I think he's got some overseas, like he's been taking girls from overseas.
Or, like mail order brides that are young and golly.
Well,
one source said these were not black girls typically of means. They weren't celebrities with the exception of Aaliyah. These were regular working class girls from places like the south side of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been accused of preying on these girls. This is just heartbreaking. The first victim was involved in incidents which occurred between May 1998 and May 1999. A grand jury returned an indictment for 4 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse based on the victim being under the age of 17, and Kelly being more than 5 years older than the victim. The second victim was involved in an incident that occurred between September 1998 and September 2001. A grand jury returned an indictment of 2 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse based on the victim being under the age of 17 and Kelly being more than 5 years older than the victim. The third victim was in February of 2003. The indictment was returned 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual abuse based on transmission of semen by Kelly upon any body part of the victim for the purpose of sexual gratification during the course of an underlying felony of attempted criminal assault.
And then let's not forget the videotape that came out of him peeing on the girl.
The fourth victim was involved in incidents that occurred between 2009 and 2010. The grand jury returned an indictment on 3 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse based on the victim being under the age of 17 and the child and the woman being, and him being over 5 years older. That's just the first 4. So a video came out of him peeing on a girl
in 2008. That's where all of this started really focusing, and then the jury said, no, that's not him. It's not him on that tape. It's not him. They did all that, but everybody's like, nope, that's him. That's him doing all this stuff, peeing on a 14-year-old girl. Did I lose you?
No, I'm just in shock.
Okay.
So there's more listed. Hang on, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the timeline. Okay. So in 94, he married his 15-year-old protege, Aaliyah Houghton. Oh my God. The marriage was annulled after a year. The marriage was annulled the following year after Aaliyah's family became aware of it because she was underage. Oh my God.
Yep.
And that was in 94. In 96, someone sues Kelly claiming personal injuries and emotional damage arising from an alleged sexual relationship. She was 15 when it started. She was 18 when it ended. Are you sharpening your knife over there to go cut him?
Yeah, pretty much. I am.
In 2000, sexual allegations for a girl as young as 15. 2001, Epic Records files a lawsuit claiming that he initiated a sexual relationship with a singer and rapper. She was 17. The case settled out of court for an undisclosed sum.
He just pays people off.
Yeah, 2002, the Chicago Sun-Times reports Kelly is being investigated by police after a sex tape is sent anonymously. He denies the charges. That must have been the P tape.
That was the P tape. Where he was peeing and having sex with this girl and just all sorts of deviant acts.
2002, a dancer sues Kelly after she alleges he secretly taped their sexual encounter and the tape was being sold. The case is settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. 2002, in June, Kelly is indicted on child pornography charges for allegedly videotaping himself having sex with an unidentified underage girl. The case went to trial in 2008, and he was acquitted. How the hell did that happen?
Stupidity. Listen, Aaron Magruder, like we talked about at the beginning, Aaron Magruder. Not all black people who get thrown in jail are Nelson Mandela. This is R. Kelly. Look at what he's done. And there was a focus of it on one of his episodes of the Boondocks where they made fun of it, how just they had him dead to rights, and because he got up and he sings, he made fun of him singing and being all sexy and all this other stuff for the ladies and for the people, and oh yeah, this is my jam. They just went up, we throw it out of court. Because the jury didn't see anything but, oh, this is celebrity R. Kelly. Like O.J. Simpson. Look at what happened with O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson did it. And everybody knows it. But he got off. But now there was a lot of botched everything in that case.
They really mishandled that. They could have had him. They really could have had him.
And they had him. They had him dead to rights. They really had him dead to rights, and it was pretty much a slam dunk case. But the media got involved, and then say what you want, but Johnny Cochran, smartest attorney there ever was, ever will be, because he worked and finagled and snaked and went around everybody with that whole defense program.
Oh, God.
Former DA Johnny Cochran,
Yeah.
who knew the system and
If
said,
the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
must
Do you know
acquit.
why? Do you know why the glove didn't fit?
because he was putting it over plastic gloves.
He was wearing rubber gloves so he wouldn't quote unquote taint the evidence. So there was that, but he also had his hand spread. So
He also says what?
he had his hand spread.
Oh, that's right.
So instead of relaxing his hand and sliding the leather over the latex glove, which it had been wet when they found it. It had been soaked with blood and wet. So it shrank. It tightened up. Of course it wasn't going to fit. But the DNA evidence, I believe, inside the glove could have told that story. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, yeah, he played it well. He played it really well. I'm looking at this, and I mean, this is just crazy. The crap that is in the timelines with him, all the charges that are being brought up against him, and a lot of this started because there was a documentary being done by one of the victims, and it was called "Surviving R. Kelly."
Surviving R. Kelly. That was the thing that came. Yeah.
And it's just disgusting. And I'm like, people, it's bad enough. It's just, the whole thing just sucks. The whole thing just freaking sucks. It's gross. 14 and 15-year-olds. Ugh.
It's well, in other sad news, but not sad news, not as a state of society, sad news of what went on last weekend. And I'm going to touch on this because this is in my home state here.
Okay.
Lee County in Alabama suffered massive tornado damage last weekend. What I'm asking listeners, if you get to, there are stations like Fox 6, Birmingham Fox 6, WBRC, Channel 42 are all taking donations for they did a telethon last week, and some of it worked, but they are taking more donations. Pretty much there are towns in Lee County that have been wiped off the map. Families are gone.
Sad.
What I'm asking people for is take a moment, $1, $5, what have you, just anything you can give to those people down there. They need it.
Oh my gosh.
They need it, and they need it badly.
So who's taking donations?
The stations are WBRC, Fox 6. WBRC, Fox, sorry. And there's so many stations. ABC 3340.
Right, so it's WBRC.com.
.com.
Right, Fox.
And then there's ABC 3340, and then there's Channel 42, WIAT.
ABC 3340 is literally ABC3340.com.
.com.
So go to those sites, go to those .coms, and donate. They're helping people that need help.
And they are. I'm glad
you guys did not get hit. I'm so glad.
Oh, in Birmingham, nothing came about. We had no idea that was going on because when severe weather happens, your phones go off, the TV goes, all the stuff.
Yeah.
But they've now started something here in Alabama where it's before, if a tornado siren went off for your whole county, the sirens all over the county went off. Okay? Even though it may have been in our county, Jefferson is big, it could be happening in very North Jefferson County, where we live in Southern Jefferson County. And that's a pretty big gap when you think about it, when you travel 30, 40 minutes away from one another from city to city. Now it only, like, the North Jefferson sirens will go off, or the South Jefferson sirens will go off.
Jeez.
Now you don't hear anything about the tornado until you see it on the news. And it apparently was an F4, and it just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
It didn't give anybody any time to get prepared. It just happened. So that's some hard stuff. That is some seriously hard stuff. And I hate
rebuilding after that is so difficult, and I've seen enough damage from them. I haven't actually, thank God, knock on wood, I haven't actually been a part of any of it, but it's just, keep these people in your prayers, people, because this is really hard. This is hard to pick up from, and it's so fast and so brutal, and they need help. They need physical help. They need financial help. They need spiritual help. Just be with them and help them. Ugh. Anyway. Also, kind of on a sad note, Luke Perry died this week.
I know.
Oh my God. Okay, so I know that like all the threads that I'm watching on my Facebook pages, they're all about 90210. Now, right. I know Luke Perry was a big 90210 person, and he was the ultimate bad boy. Everybody wanted him. He was the heartthrob of the 90s, right? Some people have mentioned, they've also mentioned Riverdale, that he was
playing a dad on Riverdale.
Yeah, he was like a professor or a teacher or something like that. But one of my favorite pieces that he was in, Fifth Element.
That's right. It was very small, but he was in Fifth Element.
But he was at the very beginning of Fifth Element, and that's one of the reasons why whenever things start, like there's sound bites that you take away from movies all the time. And one of my favorite sound bites, other than many, from the Fifth Element is Aziz Light, when the guy's yelling at the kid.
And
Aziz
he's doing his
Light.
counting.
Right.
Aziz
and so he's sketching. He's there as part of the archaeology team sketching what they find. And every time the lead archaeologist yells, Aziz Light, he's over there ticking it off. And it's Aziz Light. Thunk. But it was a small part, but it was a huge memory for me because I love that movie. And so that was what I saw him in. But I have a Luke Perry story.
Ooh.
Can I share? Awesome.
Share.
Many, many, many moons ago, back in about maybe 2000, I was at a restaurant in Nashville, Tennessee. It is still there. So good. Yummy. Best ribs ever when I could eat ribs. And just amazing food. And I was there with someone, and I look over, and across from us at a table is Luke Perry. And he's in a flannel button-down shirt and a pair of jeans, and he's drinking a Bud. Just like every other guy in the world. He's just another guy, right? And he's just sitting there, and he's enjoying a meal with someone, and come to find out he lived locally. He was living there in the area at the time, and I think they were filming something. I can't remember what, but he was there. It wasn't like he was just like in town for a show. Like he lived there. And this restaurant had gotten some really good buzz because the meat would just fall off the ribs when you picked up the bone. It was great. But I actually had a chance to go over and shake his hand. Like, I was like, dude, you're one of my favorite actors. And he's like, thanks so much. And he was so nice. He was just like, oh, he made eye contact, shook my hand. The person I was with shook his hand. Yeah, nice to meet you, And of course, the guys started talking about other stuff, and I just kind of stood there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm standing next to Luke Perry. Like, how cool is this? But he was just the average guy. Like, had I not known who he was through The Fifth Element and 90210 at the time, I would never have realized it was him. There was no entourage. There was no security. There was no big Hollywood bullshit going on. He was just a guy. And that's just, and everything I'm reading about the people that know him and like actually knew who he was, that's what they're saying. They're like, he's an angel. He was the best guy in the world. He was such a great person. And I believe it. I don't believe it's, hyped up Hollywood BS, because he wasn't the typical Hollywood actor. Yeah, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff. He's been in a lot of stuff. But he was a good guy. And so it just sucks.
And that's what makes it harder that he's gone so early.
Because you got shitheads like R. Kelly making millions of dollars molesting 14-year-olds and having a field day. And they're all over the front pages. They're all over Hollywood. They're all over the AMAs, everything, right? And then
Right.
you got a good guy like Luke Perry who was not a big deal to people. And he had a massive stroke and he died as a result of it. And it's so sad. It just kills me. The good ones do go before the bad ones. And I don't understand that. But yeah. So that's my Luke Perry story. And I hope and pray that his family finds peace and that the fucking public respects their privacy. Sorry,
I loved him in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I loved him in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He wasn't in a whole lot of movies, but God, that Buffy the Vampire Slayer killed me with him in it.
Buffy, I'm gonna have to go watch that now, just because I mean that was actually a pretty good movie, and when they brought it to a series, Sarah Michelle Gellar did a pretty good job taking that over.
Yeah, it really became like a very action-oriented series.
Yeah.
But the other favorite, and I'm going to not segue here, but the other favorite of it is it also brought back Paul Rubens to light, because that's when he had his little problem with getting caught in a theater going, oh, yeah, I'm Pee Wee Herman.
You did not have to do the sound. You just did not have to. Stop.
Would you? Anyway. He got caught firing off some knuckle children in a theater in Florida.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. I broke you.
Knuckle children. Who the fuck talks like
You
that?
like that, huh? So anyway, Paul Rubens came back in that movie after, he had his incident, and you really didn't recognize that it was Paul Rubens as one of the vampires, like the master vampire's minion. And,
Master.
let's just kind of touch on this. Yeah, he had a celebrity scandal. Okay, let's call it as is. But then it was like, oh, that's a big deal. But now he's, Paul Rubens is back. He's a cultural icon. He's got a Broadway show. He does Pee Wee's Playhouse on Broadway.
Really?
All this. He really does, and it's a big seller. Okay, he's brought back like half the old cast from the Groundling show that he used to do in L.A. and the kids show.
Oh wow!
Now he's replaced a couple of people like Lawrence Fishburne. Back then it was Larry Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis. Larry ain't doing no Cowboy Curtis anymore because he's Lawrence Fishburne, Hollywood actor.
I'm Lawrence Fishburne.
I'm Lawrence Fishburne, baby.
Bitch.
Bitch. I've played Morpheus. I told Neo how to go, and let's not forget I was Ike Turner and I slapped a hoe. But anyway, and I got beat with a cowboy boot in that movie. But anyway, no, some reporter was asking him the question, how did you deal with that? He goes, well, he says, I did something wrong. And he says, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. He says, but I was harming myself in a lot of ways. I didn't do anything to anybody. It was just me. And he said, by the way, he says, it's 2019. Are there still jokes going on about that? I mean,
and honestly, anyway. No, they're not, because and that was the thing. It was him.
It was him doing it to himself.
It was him. It was just him. He didn't pull a 14-year-old in and videotape himself,
or chain somebody in the bed in the basement and lock them in the closet, and
right. And so
put roofies in somebody's drink, or pay Nigerians to beat them up. I mean, it wasn't anything like that.
And here's the other thing. Now, did you HBO? I think it was HBO did a documentary on. It's called Leaving Neverland.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my! Don't see it. Okay, don't see it, because here's the thing. I was watching some of the interview stuff with the two guys who originally, when they started charging Michael Jackson with all of this stuff, these two guys went to court and actually said, no, that never happened. Now, years later, when he can't even defend himself, they're saying, yeah, it happened. But they're also saying, I was young, I didn't know better, I loved the guy, you know. So I'm just kind of like, seriously? He's not even alive to defend himself. Just let it die. It's been 10 years since he died. Can you just let it shut up? Everybody, Paul Rubens, he just let it go.
He let it go.
He let it fizzle out on its own. And it did. It fizzled out on its own.
And he didn't do anything with the Pee-wee character for the longest time.
And so, but what's interesting is, like, you've got, and of course, tabloids pull this shit out all the time because they're trying to sell these stupid tabloids. But, like, okay, I don't know how many times we could talk about, Jack Wagner, who drowned his wife. You know, it's over. But, oh no, she knew she was going to die, like, 50 years later. There was a note that said she knew she was going to die and that it was going to be by drowning and her husband was going to do it. You're full of shit. You're just trying to sell tabloids. Stop it.
Right.
You know, I mean, okay. Now, unfortunately, with the way social media works now, we get everything pretty much instantly. When stuff happens, it's happening right then and there, and they're putting stuff up. And then, of course, somebody will spin it and run with it and change something, and then like telephone, you know, an hour later, it's a totally different story. That's why some of the stuff, like we talked about last week, we were like, I'm really not going to comment on it because it's going to change tomorrow.
Right, exactly.
Right?
It'll change within the next 2 minutes.
But I sent you a thing, and this is something that didn't change, and we actually did not go see Captain Marvel this weekend.
Oh, we haven't either.
And simply based on if that comment really is a comment that she made on a press junket, I really don't give two craps about rubbing two pennies together and spending money in a movie theater to see this movie. And the comments I'm referring to, and I sent you a link to it. She made a comment about, now I understand she is a well-to-do white woman who wants to, proactively push forward diversity. I get it. But when you make a comment about not wanting white males to watch your movie, you're hitting your fan base in a bad way. She made a comment about wanting only diverse reporters coming and talking to her. She didn't want white men in the whole and I'm like, I'm not even going to continue to read this because that enough put a bad taste in my mouth to not spend money to go see it. I'll watch it when it's free on Amazon, maybe. Which really sucks because I'm her demographic and she totally shut me down. She has a chance to help other women, get into the action movies and things like that. But the fact that she made those comments at all, whether they were in context or out of context, I don't care. Gal Gadot got nothing. She's been a saint the entire time. Like, Wonder Woman is really, truly Wonder Woman.
Gal Gadot is smarter than that. She's also ex-Israeli military too, so she knows when to say things and when not to say things.
Yes. Like I get it. I want diversity. I want other people interviewing me.
Right.
I get it. But don't shut out the demographic at the same time.
Sometimes you just kind of want to look at people and, like we talked about last week, hire some don't be stupid people. Hire some people just to lean in and go, don't do that.
Psst. No.
Just 2 minutes, go, no. That's not a good idea. If I ever make it, I already have my do not be stupid team already. They are ready to go. They are ready to go.
Yeah, several.
Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that. My husky is talking. If you can hear that right now, you can hear my husky talking in the other room.
Who's he talking to? Is Nicole home?
Yeah, Nicole's home, and she's asking him if he wants food, and do you not hear that?
I hear him.
This is what I live with. And we're trying to do a podcast, and yet the husky is deciding. And there's no sound. It's very
low.
faint.
Yeah, it's very faint.
It's very low. But there's no amount of soundproofing I can have.
Every now and then I can hear him. But what's really funny is Apollo was doing that the other day, and I've gotten to the point where like I start laughing so hard, like I can't push him off me. So 60 pounds of derp jumping on me and mawing my hands, and he's nipping and nooching because it's signs of affection, and I'm like, oh my God, you've got to stop, that hurts me. And I'm laughing at the same time, and he doesn't understand, and so I end up having to like call the husband and be like, Dan, you gotta get him off me.
He has popped my shoulder out of his place 16 times.
Oh my God.
My right shoulder now, it constantly has a dull ache. And I probably eventually will have to get surgery on it, but because he is 85 pounds of just pure muscle.
You're using a harness with him, right?
Yeah, I got a harness, a leash, the retracting leash, the whole deal. And I mean, he just dashes like a fur missile.
Oh my God. That's when you need to like watch Caesar's being a pack leader and do the whole
well, he listens to me more than he does anything else. He realizes, okay, I've made Papa mad, all right. But there are times where it's like I don't see that there's a bird in the yard taking him out.
Oh, and he goes,
and he's like, bird, squirrel, rabbit. Rabbits are now his favorite thing. There's a rabbit in our yard that is now living underneath the concrete walkway that has made a little burrow for himself. So he now goes to the rabbit hole, and he's like putting his nose there. Like, where are you? Get out. I want to play. No, do not play with the rabbit. Do not play with the bunny. And he'll paw at the hole like, get out.
Come out, play with me.
Come on out.
Come out, play with me.
Yeah, it's like, no.
I love our dogs. They're so much fun. They're so much fun. Anyway. Oh, I got nothing else. You got anything?
I got nothing else. That's a podcast.
That's a podcast. Thanks for joining us here at the Department of Understanding Humans, also known as DUH. Just remember, this is our circus. These are our monkeys. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media outlets. You can find all of our podcasting streams and feeds at our website at www.duhwebsite.com. That's D.U.H website.com. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.